Hey, welcome to my top 7 favorite metal bands list. Excuse me for mixing up words. To start off, number 7 would be Amon Amarth. Now, I don't know how I came across Amon Amarth. I can't remember how, but I think it was when I was trying to look up metal bands to listen to. You know, I was like probably, researching metal bands. And then I remember the first song that I heard by Amon Amarth, and it would be, I can't remember how it's named, but I think the title is The Pursuit of the Vikings. I think that's the title. Correct me if I'm wrong. From there I explored, a little more deeper into Amon Amarth stuff, and I got to listen to stuff like Twilight of the Thunder God, Battered Tattered Banners, and Bloody Flags. The Sound of 8 Hooves, which those are my favorite songs by Amon Amarth. What I like about the band Amon Amarth, though, is that the fact that they know how to have this atmosphere of, this epic Viking and Norse mythology atmosphere. I also like the brutal vocals, along with the amazing riffs, schemes, and the drumming is, it's decent. And I like, of course, the lyrics, because I'm a fan of Viking history and Norse mythology, and I also come from a Nordic heritage, of course. Number 6 would be Dying Fetus. The first thing, let me tell you this, the first thing that comes in my head when I listen to Dying Fetus is pure audio assault of awesomeness. I really like the technicality, or sorry, I can't speak for some reason, I don't know how to pronounce this word. I really like how their music gives out these awesome, aggressive vibes and also atmosphere. And I also like, I honestly am a fan of death metal, melodic death metal, brutal death metal, whatever you would like to call it. I like, that's my favorite music. I just like the heavy stuff, the very heavy stuff. And this band just does it for me, basically. I like the insane guitar riffs, schemes. I like the drumming, and my most favorite part of their music is the parts when you could hear the audible bass playing. I like the sweeps that they do and all that. It's amazing, and I like how they keep the music at a perfect fast pace. And I remember the first song that I heard from them was Your Treachery Will Die With You. And then, from there I started exploring some of their stuff. I can't remember the other songs, but I do have other favorite songs by them, but I can remember, excuse me, my mouth's like dry and whatever. I remember that one of my other favorite songs by them is Homicidal Retribution. I don't listen to them very often, but I do at certain times. But you could feel free in the comments below to recommend a song by Dying Fetus, because I would like to, explore a bit more into their stuff. Number 5 would be Iced Earth. I came across Iced Earth in a video game, which would be Brutal Legend. And if you're a metalhead that plays video games, probably you would be very familiar to what I'm talking about. Brutal Legend with Jack Black starring as Eddie Riggs, the roadie. My favorite video games ever. And I hope to God there will be a sequel to that video game, Brutal Legend. But okay, I'm getting a little off subject, but yeah, that's when I first heard of Iced Earth. And one of the first songs that, it was like playing, but then again there were like 2 songs that were playing in that, that are in the game, which would be When the Night Falls and oh goodness, I can't even remember that song. I can't remember at the moment, which kind of fucking sucks. But I know it's from an album known as Storm. Can't even think of the album. I mean, I haven't listened to their older stuff for quite a long time. What I really liked about Iced Earth was how they performed their intros. How they have these awesome melodic intros and also melodic guitar playing. That's what I liked about Iced Earth. But one of my favorite vocalists of Iced Earth, and it's sad that he left Iced Earth again, but the Iced Earth is really, well known for switching up vocalists and doing a lot of lineup, changing up the lineup of the band. My favorite songs by Iced Earth would be Jekyll and Hyde from the album Horror Show, which Horror Show is one of my favorite albums. Burnt Offerings, The Dark Saga, which the album is like based off of some comic book hero or whatever known as Spawn. Number 4 would be Fear Factory. Something that I would listen to a lot in my high school years. Because around that time, that's when I first heard of Fear Factory. Basically, I think that I've heard Fear Factory through a friend in high school. That's when I started, listening to a lot of their stuff. Good memories right there. I just hope that one day I will be able to see them live. One day. I hope to God that opportunity comes to me. What I like about Fear Factory is I like how they give off like such amazing sci-fi feels, vibes, and such an atmosphere. I also like the vocals. I like how, I can't think of his name right now, but I like how the vocalist can perform 2 vocal styles. Also, what I really like is the rhythm in their songs. The groove that they have in their songs, with the drums, the perfect pace, and the clean beats on the drums. I like the guitar riffs schemes, even though most of their songs, I mean, I haven't gotten into like every single one of their stuff. There's barely any solos, but there was one song that, I heard a solo on, which would be Fear Campaign, which would be one of my favorite songs by Fear Factory, along with Resurrection, Shock, Descent, Recharger, Deprived Mind Murder, Linchpin, Cars. And also, my favorite albums would be, from what I can remember, Mechanize. And yeah, one of my favorite songs in Mechanize would be Mechanize, Industrial Discipline, Power Shifter. Most of the songs, like every song I like on the album. And of course I like The Industrialist as well. Amazing stuff. And of course, Obsolete, which is my other favorite, and Digimortal. Number 3, Metallica. Back in high school. Now, let me tell you this. Back in high school, in my freshman year, I got into more heavy metal music at that time, along with the subculture as well, which was quite an adventure and also quite fun. Also, one of the highlights of this year, 2014, was when I seen the 56 Grammys. I know I am not a really big fan of the Grammys, and yeah, this is gonna go off a little off subject, but yeah, one of the highlights of this year was seeing Metallica on the 56, I think it was the 56 Grammy, along with Daft Punk, which Daft Punk is one of my favorite artists, because I do have an appreciation for like some dubstep, and of course electronic music. I don't really, these days, don't listen to a lot of Metallica like I used to back in like 9th grade. But I do, at rare occasions, listen to Metallica. Usually like, well, I mean, I haven't really paid attention to Metallica and all for like quite a long time. In freshman year, I was like huge fan of Metallica, and I was like listening to Metallica like on a religious basis. Number 2, Megadeth. This band is one of my most favorite thrash metal bands in the thrash metal scene. I also have seen them twice in a row. Basically, I've went to see them 2 years in a row. I've went to Gigantour 2012 and Gigantour 2013, which would be last year, of course. And I do have relics that I bought from the shows, like this poster here, which would be the Gigantour 2013. Yeah, I'll zoom in. But yeah, now this poster costed like, I think, $15 from what I can remember, and I also showed up late to that show, which meant I missed 2 bands, which would be Death Division, which I wanted to see because I heard, I mean, I first heard them from the promos of the Gigantour 2013. That's when I heard about them. Then I looked them up on YouTube, listened to some of their music, and I was like, wow, I'm looking forward to seeing them. But sadly, I wasn't able to because I showed up a bit late, and I also missed Newstead as well. But hey, at least I was able to see Hell Yeah, which I really liked their performance. Device, alright. Black Label Society, kick-ass performance, of course. And I remember when I seen Zakk Wylde perform randomly out of the blue, performing this kick-ass face-melting guitar solo after a song, and it went on for like 2-3 minutes, I think. I'm not sure, but it was amazing. And of course, this, the Gigantour 2013, I went over to Connecticut to see them live, and it was like one of my first times I got into some mosh pits, and I ended up having a bleeding foot from the mosh pits. I mean, I didn't wear open-toe shoes. I wore like closed, shoes, pretty much. And I managed to have a bleeding foot. Weird. But then again, I was having my foot was getting stomped on during the mosh pits and all. And yeah, I got pushed down 2 times. And the second time, I accidentally landed on someone. Yeah. And also, here's one of the relics from 2012 when I went to see Megadeth, which would be the sweatband, of course. I remember when I first bought that band, I was like wearing it on a religious basis. I wore it like almost every day. But these days, I wear it, every once in a great while. Every now and then. I mean, I'm a big fan of Megadeth, of course. And yeah, one of the best moments in Gigantour 2012. And yeah, I went to New York to see them in 2012. One of the best moments was when Dave Mustaine pointed his finger at me, looking directly at me. And yeah, it was like one of the best moments of my life. Because, he's one of my favorite musicians and all. And he's pretty much one of my role models, of course. I want to rant a bit about last year's Gigantour when Megadeth performed. No, I mean, before, after Black Label Society performed, I remember that, it was like break time. Everyone went to take a piss or whatever they did. And then I was talking to some people and, in the crowd. And then someone showed me the current set list that Megadeth has set up for, the show. and it was like almost like basically the same set list from 2012, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But they also, you know, added some songs from Super Collider, which would be Kingmaker, which was one of the songs, you know, the songs that, you know, made the album Super Collider a bit more better, other than the fact it didn't like the production recording of quality of the album. And no, I mean, there were a few songs I like in that album, like Dance in the Rain and Built for War. I know it's like really repetitive, but it was good. I mean, that's like one of the errors in Super Collider, is there's a lot more repetitive songs, but hey, at least there were some good songs in that album. I can't complain, but I hope that when Megadeth, you know, makes another album, I hope it's gonna make up Super Collider. Also, one of the very first songs I listened to by Megadeth was Symphony of Destruction. And yeah, it was back in high school in freshman year, because freshman year was basically one of the moments, you know, in my life when I started getting into more heavy metal and the whole subculture of metal. Basically, it was this one time I was in the school bus and a friend of mine gave me a mixed CD of all the metal songs that had Anthrax and of course Megadeth, Lamb of God, Disturbed. I don't remember the rest of the songs that were in that mixed CD, but I still have it today. Now to list some of my favorite albums by Megadeth, which I'm going to start off with their very first album. Starting off with their very first album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Basically, I like every single track on the album, and also I find the album quite impressive, even though the recording quality is very raw in this album. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite raw quality recorded albums I've listened to. The other would be Euthanasia, because I actually liked, well, I basically like almost every song in the album of Euthanasia, along with songs like Reckoning Day, Train of Consequences, Family Tree. But also, I like the vocal quality, you know, like the singing quality of the album, because it, to me, sounded very epic to me, how, you know, the vocals were in that album. That's like one of the favorite parts of the album that I like. Number 1, Blind Guardian. One of the reasons Blind Guardian earned this spot in the list is because, for one, it's one of the bands I usually commonly listen to. I would commonly listen to songs by them like Lord of the Rings, because I like the emotions in the song and the atmosphere that the song has. And also Skulls and Shadows. And I don't listen to the song very often, but I remember that I would like listen to that song 24/7, basically beat the horse listening to the song, which would be Wheel of Time. And of course, I only have one of their CDs, one of their albums, in my collection. I only have one, which would be At the Edge of Time. And one of my favorite songs on that album would be Sacred Worlds. I'm trying to read this. Trying to read the back. Right into obsession. Sorry, I can't read for some reason. Curse My Name. Vacularies. I can't pronounce that word. And Control the Divine, War of the Thrones, A Voice in the Dark, and Wheel of Time. And of course, I am really looking forward to their upcoming new album in this spring, because I've heard that in 2014, in the spring, they're going to be releasing another album, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope it comes out really good, because when it comes out, I'm buying that CD. Also, to explain how I came across Blind Guardian, basically, it was like back in high school, I was like listening to Pandora, and then I heard this band called Demons and Wizards, which was formed by the guitarist from Iced Earth. I can't remember the name. I mean, I know that the last name was Schaefer, of course, and Hansi from Blind Guardian, the vocalist of Blind Guardian, of course, and some guest musicians. And the song that I was listening to at that time was Beneath These Waves, which is one of my most favorite songs by that band, along with The Gunslinger. But yeah, ever since I started listening to Demons and Wizards, I started, I started looking into their songs, and then I in the process, when I was, in the process of doing it, I, in the same time, discovered Blind Guardian, and then I got to listen to some of their songs. And my other favorite songs by them would be Born in a Mourning Hole, Lord of the Rings, of course, like I've said, Skulls and Shadows, and Mirror Mirror. That's one of the songs that I can remember at this moment. I mean, I've got plenty others. And oh yeah, of course, Fly would be one of my favorite songs too. Sorry, I was gonna call Fly an album, but I was like, oh wait, no, it's not an album, it's a song. But yeah, that would be it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I plan to eventually make a second edition to to the video, make a second edition. And that's it for the video. Thanks for watching.